Hey, 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 time for another out of this world story from our space. Found out wife cheated on me when she was visiting her hometown. Over the past year and a half, we've both been in COVID lockdown. She lost her job and was at home while I continued to work from home. When vaccinations were open to the public, she went back to her hometown to get vaccinated so she could start to socialize after not being able to see her family for so long. I stayed back because of some immigration issues since I couldn't cross the border with her, Canada to the US. May 28th. Everything was going along okay. We'd use FaceTime multiple times a day to chat. Then one day, she says that she needs time alone to think about some stuff. So I say, sure, I won't bother you. A few days go by, and not a word from her. And as her husband, I wanted to make sure she's okay, so I called her, and all hell broke loose. She was crying, telling me how frustrated she has been with me for years, all the pent-up issues she had with me, big and small, during our entire relationship. Some of it was valid. Some I didn't feel was totally true, but over the next few days, the outcome of it was that I need to talk to a therapist to handle some issues I have. Which I accept. There are things I need to talk to a professional about. We don't have any financial, alcohol, gambling, or addiction issues. Mostly anger management, communication, and certain control issues that I have. It was a little rough that week, but we started talking again. Things were going back to normal. I booked a ticket for her to come back home. Meanwhile, I felt like something was weird about her. She wasn't acting the way I've known her to be. She would always say, "I love you so much," and start crying. First week of June. Meanwhile, she mentions she's having vaginal burning, like a yeast infection with some discharge. She got tested in treatment for a yeast infection, and I joked with her to get an STD test too, just in case. She did get an STD test, and it was negative, but the vaginal issue wasn't going away. June 23rd. So she comes back home, and the following day books an online appointment with a doctor to get tested again. And when she talks to the doctor, she went onto our balcony and closed the door. That was a huge red flag for me because she never, ever goes onto the balcony to talk. She did it a second time to talk to her closest friend, and I thought that's really weird. I knew something was up. Later that night, I checked her phone to see if anything odd showed up in her messages or browser history. She deleted the entire browser history while she was in Arizona. Another red flag. Then, I find a screenshot of text messages she deleted, but were still in a deleted folder, and they were between her and another guy at the time she was changing flights in the Atlanta airport. She was upset with him because he didn't come to the dinner they had planned the night before she left for her hometown. I then went and checked her phone records, looking at the times she texted or called his number. And she had been in contact with him 5 days before she and I had our first serious conversation about marriage issues. I confronted her and learned that he was a longtime high school crush, and she saw him one night when she went out with her friends. She kissed him in the club and went home with him that night. She saw him 3 more times after that in a public park and planned to see him for dinner a final time before she came back to meet. He didn't show up the final night, and she realized he used her. She said she felt guilty the day after her first hookup and realized she destroyed her marriage. She continued to see him because she felt like it was over between us, was lonely, and needed a male to give her attention and confidence. During that time she was seeing him, we were still talking, and often after we would talk, she'd call him. There's just a lot of emotions right now for me to deal with. She said she went home with him because she had so many frustrations with me, and when she saw an old friend from her past, she let herself fall into temptation. I was even more upset that her closest friends let her go home with another man. And over the entire time that she was there, they didn't tell her that what she was doing was wrong. 3 of her closest friends knew, and none of them told her to stop it. She should have known better. I'm just upset with all of them. I asked her, why did you come back to me and not just stay there? She said she really wanted to come back and work on her marriage, that she wants to be with me, and she realized she wouldn't find another man who loves her as much as I do. I genuinely believe her. I feel like the experience she had with this man devastated her. I've been the only man she's ever been with, so I can understand a human desire to experience something else when you have the chance, but at the same time, a marriage vow has to mean something. Now I feel betrayed and disgusted, but I don't know if it's worth it to go to counseling to work on this and forgive her, or if what she did is unforgivable and end our marriage is the right option. It's hard to know what to do because there are so many things society, religion, and culture tells us about marriage, but at the same time, life is hard, and being an adult is really hard. Is it human to try and forgive what a loved one did? Or do we have strict rules we must adhere to no matter how much a person means to us? We don't have any children, which makes divorce a realistic option. At the same time, I've invested 9 years in a relationship with her, and I feel like I can forgive her for making a terrible decision, yet it's hard to come to terms with how crappy she treated me and think that I deserve to keep her in my life. How am I supposed to know that she's being honest with me when she says she hates herself and wants to be with me? I've reached out to a therapist for myself and her marriage counselor for us. She'll need to book a therapist to deal with her own issues. Our first reaction comes from Storyteller 618. Your issues had nothing to do with her cheating. The fact that you did this or didn't do that did not get her horny for another guy. The main reason she is willing to come back to you is because the guy blew her off and she realized you're all she's got. If the guy showed up at the last dinner and or if he didn't give her a possible STD, she would have been telling you she wants to separate to find herself. Then she would have explored it with high school crush to figure out which one she wants more, you or him. That probably will still happen. She will recontact him. One of her toxic friends will. I think you haven't gotten that in the past yet. If he contacts her and apologizes and says he wants another chance with her, I think she'd go for it. By the way, read the stories here. Cheaters are so predictable, it's like watching a movie. The villain and the hero always follow the same basic moves. Am I to assume that no condom was used? She came clean mainly because you caught her. She tried to delete and deceive, but she screwed up. Who doesn't bring up issues as if you are a mind reader and then cheat and then think the marriage is over? Yes, cheaters do that, but those are not the real reasons. Truth. No marriage is perfect. No one's life is just pure happiness. Long-term relationships get boring. People look back and wish things were better like in the past. Wanting the good things from the past, but not the bad things from the past. Human nature. Grass is always greener. Ask to see the STD results. Ask her to take a pregnancy test. Ask her to send a no-contact message and then block him. The toxic friends have got to go. People who are not friends of the marriage should not be her friends or yours. I doubt in several weeks it was only sex one time. I don't think it matters in the end if it was once or 20 times, but there it is. Moving on to the next story. The guy they had me evicted for is gone, but they are still fixated on me. I had 2 partners as of Valentine's Day this year. We all dated each other exclusively for 2.5 years. I broke up with them, as they were unemployed for 4 months essentially and never made an effort to go back to work. So instead of doing the adult thing and talk to me about signing the lease over, they started filming my depression and tried to blackmail my rent out of me with eviction. I do not take threats, so they casually set me up and filed a false restraining order immediately after I pay my rent at the beginning of the month. Super classy. Court is over, and the heavily edited tape and 2 people lying on my character means unfortunately one of them got it. They also had a new guy there, and he showed up the day I was gone. The decision was casually made the week of their birthdays to screw a stranger in my home. I'm already moved out and could only take a car full of things. The guy is gone after screwing them, as they found out after that he is not monogamous. I honestly believe that they have been dating and screwing before we broke up. You know, because they have no money but want things on Valentine's Day. I landed on my feet with a car and home of my own, and the salt is unreal. They have been running around telling people a list of accusations that are false. The plan is making them lose the house and stuff they stole. And the guy, who called his family on the police department in a neighboring county, who helped screw me, is gone. They have delayed the signing of the lease for over 2 months and just made an attempt to have me pay their rent. Again. Idiots. I was evicted per law. I have numerous emails and calls to the rental company to prove the soft threat on that one and how long I have tried to handle this. I may actually get this lie off of me, as the rental company is guilty of gross negligence and the morons on contempt of court and emotional distress on top of having to pay the remaining rent for the rest of the year. 6 months left, post-eviction. Anybody else have exes so bitter that they will literally can stand in the burning dumpster of their life trying to figure out how to throw a bucket of water on you? Do you think it occurs to them how incredibly immoral and stupid this all was? Why obsess over me if you won? Love putting it out there, as these people and the few friends they have left are actively spying on me. They had a fun time showing my posts about depression and losing my house up until court. You know, because being sad about destitution equals manipulative guilt trip. Let's get some reaction from the community. All she needs is a burner has a first reaction. They are cheaters, so they were always trying to cover that up. It has nothing to do with you or who you are beyond a good person. But to keep their positive view of themselves, they have to trash you. But you are Teflon. The OP responds, "Thank you for that. I think the new claims are racist and cocaine abuser. To be honest, I can't stop caring at least a little about their mental state. I provided them the stability for one to start college and the other to almost finish 4 years, sell my car for the house, put most of the cash down on it, and their new car. This was all to hurt me, who they have ignored for a year, and it screwed them. Who the hell kamikazes their own life because you get dumped and can't just date strangers while I pay the bills? Yikes, my man. Vivid Investment has another thought. You are apparently trying to apply logic and sanity to crazy. Just be glad you are no longer standing in the dumpster fire with them. The OP responded again. No joke, right? I think it's my ego wanting closure. I mean, I was all in until the end. I have zero contributions to show for them being in my life, other than more interesting things to talk about in therapy. The rest were a bunch of half-assed cheap trinkets and things I shopped for and got myself for them to give me. The latter I kept, the rest I sold and burned. Trash fire memorial. Vivid Investment chimes in again. Acknowledging that poor judgment was used to become involved in a bad situation can sting the ego. You will get over that. However, you have no need for closure. That has already been provided to you in a multitude of ways, including a court case. You are not entirely correct about them giving you zero contributions. They have provided you with a hard lesson learned and insight on how to never find yourself in the same situation again. Monogamous relationships between two people are already fraught with more than enough challenges without exponentially compounding them by adding additional people. Find someone that will love you for you in a healthy and fulfilling way. The OP has one last retort. That is a very deep sentiment. I guess in wholesale I found myself in the absence of their love, and I am proud of the person I am becoming. I guess it helps to know what you don't want and can't tolerate to help outline what you need. They slammed the door shut, so boom, on with my life. Thank you so much. I needed to hear this.